Hi, my name is Bobby Dodge, and I want to be the first congressional representative from the brand new America Party. I want to share a little bit about why I want to do this and how I got interested in politics. Now, I've been a Republican all my life. When I was 8 years old, my parents took me to a Ronald Reagan rally when he came to town. I got to yell, 4 more years, and most importantly, I got all the free Coke I could drink. If you want to get an 8-year-old on your side, free soda's the way. When I was in the seventh grade, I had a great social studies teacher who got me interested in government and politics, and we had to build this. It's a collection of political cartoons we had to cut out of newspapers and give summaries of what they meant. Years later, I had Michael Dukakis as a visiting professor at my university, and he signed it for me, right here above my B. In high school, I could catch about the last half an hour of the Rush Limbaugh show after school, and a little more if I could get my mom to hit the record button on the boombox while I was at school. My senior quote in the high school yearbook was "Vote Republican," or I'm guessing they were paying by the letter and didn't want to give me any vowels. When I was old enough to drive, I got to return the favor of all the free Cokes by becoming a volunteer docent at the Ronald Reagan Library, which took me 90 minutes to get to each way. I put on a suit I bought from Goodwill a couple Saturdays a month and got to show people around a replica of President Reagan's Oval Office. I loved every minute of it. I knew the welcome video word for word and would always stop and watch if I knew we were close to the part where he would say,
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I ended up going to UCLA to become a political science major. Now, sorry, volunteer fans, I had nothing to do with Nico. But in college, I had the opportunity to be an intern in Washington, D.C. for a nonprofit group. I got introduced to many Congress members and even an up-and-coming pollster named Kellyanne Conway, who later became President Trump's campaign manager during the 2016 election. She and my boss were very good friends. What I walked away from my time in D.C. was a general sense of sliminess. So many people seemed so fake and had a what can you do for me attitude. There were so many hypocrites. They would act one way when people were watching and act another behind closed doors. I left that summer knowing that I no longer wanted anything to do with politics. I finished my poli-sci degree because I was too far into it to pick something else. But after graduation, I got a job in IT. Computers are much more straightforward than people. I got to be an IT director for several small to medium-sized businesses, and with one job, I wrote the whole software that managed all their imports and worldwide sales for a decent-sized company. When I completed that project, I decided to get my master's in business administration and finally got the courage to start my own business. I have started 2 moderately successful small businesses that have kept my bills paid and given me the opportunity to hire a couple dozen people over these last 15 years. So why would I want to get involved in government at this stage of my life? Well, I've always been engaged in policy because I know how it affects people's lives. In the last few years, more than ever. Now, since the pandemic, I have seen the Democrats and the Republicans hold hands and Thelma and Louise us right off a financial cliff.
Let's keep going. You sure? Yeah. Get it.
I don't think the middle 80% of Americans want government to keep taking out credit cards in our children's names and spending them on wasteful programs.
I began political life as a Democrat, casting my first vote in 1932 for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That year, the Democrats called for a 25% reduction in the cost of government by abolishing useless commissions and offices and consolidating departments and bureaus, and giving more authority to state governments. As the years went by and those promises were forgotten, did I leave the Democratic Party, or did the leadership of that party leave not just me, but millions of patriotic Democrats who believed in the principles and philosophy of that platform?
President Trump campaigned on a Department of Government Efficiency and then signed the biggest spending bill in the history of our country. Did I leave the Republican Party, or did the Republican Party leave me? That bill included $140 billion in new tax deductions for rich people living in high-tax blue states. We pay a high sales tax and no income tax, but every one of our Republican representatives went along with this bribe because they needed the votes from reps in New York and California. To my Democrat friends, why would you vote for someone who grew up on Rush Limbaugh and Ronald Reagan? Well, imagine the good we could do with all that money if it wasn't being siphoned off by fraudsters and bureaucratic black holes. We could actually fund the programs that do real good without having to hike taxes on everyone who dares earn a living. Look at this chart. Over the next 10 years, the interest on the debt will take up 22% of our overall spending and 44% of our non-retiree spending. Wouldn't you like to have some of that Solyndra or Cash for Clunkers money back? I would love to have the money back from all the PPP loan scammers or the 20 years of war in Afghanistan.
I was a Democrat most of my life. I became a Republican only not too many years ago. When I switched parties, I didn't do it because the two parties were alike. I did it because they were different.
In the end, that's why I'm switching parties. The two parties are just no longer different. They both want to keep running up debts that our great-grandchildren can never pay. This is generational theft, no two ways about it. The 80% of people in the middle want to put the grown-ups back in charge and say enough is enough. The two parties fight about their minor differences. Let's come together and make some real change. When Elon Musk started the America Party, he said we should be laser focused on just 2 or 3 Senate seats and 8 to 10 House districts. Given the razor-thin legislative margins, that would be enough to serve as the deciding vote on contentious laws, ensuring that they serve the true will of the people. Send a message to Congress by sending me as that first example. Thank you very much for your time. If you want to contact me, leave a comment or DM me at the mid-80. You can also contact me at my webpage at bobbydodge.com, and I will do my very best to reach out to each and every one of you. And just remember, people, not party.